We are, and we've hit the month of December, and we're about to hit Championship Saturday for all that's going to unfold with college football and the chase now to the 12-team college football playoff. Automatic bid spots up for grabs in 4 locations, and then a group of 5 spot up for grabs as well. The drama's getting good, and we love being part of it on Three Dog Thursday. I'm merely the somewhat capable host, TJ Rives. That chuckle you heard is the purveyor, the owner, the operator of winningcureseverything.com. What a job he does with all of this content. Hello, Gary Segars. Good to be with you. In some ways, this is like Christmas morning. Open up the gifts. Here we go with the championship games for this weekend. We're ready to talk all about it with the underdogs. How you feeling? Because it's all going to sort out eventually here by Sunday mid-afternoon. We know who's all in and going where. We got a lot of football between now and then, my friend.
Yes, indeed, we do. I've got my typical end of the regular season cold that every year it feels like I just work myself to the bone. And then we get to a week where there's only 9 games, and that's when my body's like, okay, we're done. I'm out. So I got the body aches, I got the coughs, I got, all that kind of stuff. I had trouble breathing through the nose kind of thing. But we're going to get through it. It's going to be perfectly fine because the content does not stop. The football season lasts until January 20th. So we're going to be doing this thing. I was dealing with all kind of stuff with recruiting yesterday, National Signing Day. So, and for what it seems like that has gotten less buzz this year than it has in the past. Not a ton of people interested in National Signing Day this year, but that's where the beasts get made. So we'll see exactly what happens.
It has definitely been a different year with NIL, the transfer portal taking over, and let's just segue all these new teams. And by the way, we're going to get to underdog selections. As I said to Gary, you don't have to have 3 of them because there's so many fewer games. He goes, oh, no, it's Three Dog Thursday. I've got 3 underdogs. I will confess to the audience, I really only like one pooch this weekend in the championship game. So Gary and I'll get to that in a couple of moments. But in this NIL era, transfer portal, and all the teams switching conferences, my Lord, Gary, we got to keep up with all of this stuff, but we got a brand new team in the Big 12 playing in the title game, Arizona State. We got a brand new team in the SEC, Texas, as you know, playing in the SEC title game. We got a brand new team in the Big 10, Oregon, the only major college undefeated team left, playing in the Big 10 title game. And then to top it off, we got SMU, a brand new team in the ACC playing in that title game. I pose to you.
All of those, by the way, all of those favored.
Yeah, they're all favored to win the game.
And
good point.
Don't forget, Army, brand new in the AAC.
That's true. That's 5 in the AAC title game with Tulane coming on Friday night. Is this a good thing? I just say to you out front here that we have all of this change and all of these new teams immediately ended up being one of the 2 best teams at the end of the year in the conference to play in the title game.
Is it a good thing? I mean, yeah. Like I suppose it's fine. And the reason
it
for
another way, does it dilute it? Does it cheapen it at all in your mind, or no? It just adds to the drama and intrigue, and it's just different. What would you say?
I think it just adds to the drama and the intrigue. What you said is, it's different, and that's exactly what it is. All this realignment stuff, we knew that we were going to see some different kind of things, and it's certainly different. We've got more people contemplating the value of conference titles now. SMU has come into the ACC, and they're really debating whether or not they should be playing this game because they're ranked in the CFP playoff field right now. It's not done yet. Like the rankings aren't finalized,
right?
And that's part of the deal is you get to a certain point, and then you have to play in the conference title game, and this is something that has never happened before. Schools like Boise, schools like SMU, and I know that they're part of a quote-unquote power conference now, they can play their way in by winning these conferences. So these conference title games, there is value to these championship trophies and whatnot.
As preposterous as it might sound on the surface, what the SMU fans are saying and what another fan base might say is if the committee has already told us we're in the top 4 or 5, top 5 or 6, is it realistic that we're going to drop out of the top 12 in the current 12-team format? If we chose not to play the game, would they drop us that much? On the hypothetical, understand kind of that premise, because basically the guy speaking on behalf of the committee, Ward Manuel, said on Tuesday night that for the teams that are not playing, you're basically locked in place. This is who we believe is going to be there. And we'll talk more about that coming up. And I guess that's the argument. I still believe these championship games should matter. They put that in with the automatic bid part of it. And it should also help for your seeding, even if you didn't get an automatic bid, like a Boise State. If they play their way in without an automatic bid, it should help their seeding if they win. So they had a contingency for that. They made room for that, and there is incentive to play in the game. So I agree with you on that point.
Yes, indeed, there is incentive, and we'll figure it out. Obviously, we're going to talk a little more CFP once we get done actually discussing games,
of course.
But yeah, like going through some of these resumes, trying to figure out. I mean, this stuff is all subjective, and the best way to figure this out is just win your way into the bracket.
That's right.
That's
erase all doubt.
Way.
Erase all doubt. It's like scoring a knockout in boxing. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Go ahead and get the KO.
Exactly.
And everybody that's playing in one of these title games has got an opportunity in the Power 4 conferences to do it themselves. So let's get into that. This is what we do. We look for 3 underdogs simply to cover. They do not have to win, although we've had a lot of success with outright winners. You and I had Syracuse last week. Hello. That one was fantastic. You also converted as well with UTSA at Army. Speaking of Army and the cover, nice call on that. I had Georgia Tech, who, my God, did they have Georgia indeed on the ropes at halftime and for much of that game. But you know what? It took a month of overtimes. Georgia found a way to win, but an easy cover for Georgia Tech. So we scored some last week on 3 Dog Thursday. How about the host is 5-1 the last 2 weeks on 3 Dog Thursday?
That's what I'm talking about.
We like that.
You.
We like making the peeps, some money. All right. So you're going to start us off because you're going, it's like post-Thanksgiving, you're going for extra helpings of underdogs that I'm not going for. Give me one. Are you going SEC right off the bat for underdog number 1 here on 3 Dog Thursday on the Winning Cures platforms and podcast?
I am going immediately to the SEC. And yes, that thing has finally hit 3. So I am going to roll with Georgia plus the 3 against Texas. We've already seen this once, right? And there's not a number that you can look at where Texas does not have the better overall metrics, right? The advanced stats, if you will. Everything that Texas has done looks fantastic, except for the one game that they played at home against Georgia. Right. Georgia figured out how to stop Steve Sarkisian's offense. And it's kind of the same thing. You got Bell, the offensive tackle for Texas, that's banged up. He's been practicing. Sark said that. But it didn't necessarily matter in the first game. I mean, he was completely healthy in that game, and it was no issue. So Georgia seems to be the kind of team that shows up when they want to. Kirby Smart, master motivator. He kind of does his thing. I think Georgia can do it again, especially in Atlanta. The only team that has beaten Georgia in Atlanta has been Alabama.
That's
the
true.
only team that's really beaten Georgia very much at all over the past few years has been Alabama. So, right. and while Sark did coach at Alabama for a little while, it kind of seems like Kirby knows how to stop his offense. I'm kind of expecting the same thing. I think Georgia wakes up for this one. I don't think they cared about the Georgia Tech game very much. I think they probably care about this one. This is.
I was telling that to you last week. How much did they care? It's a rivalry game, yes, but the SEC title game meant more because it's got an automatic bid. Even if they lost and had the 3 losses, they were already guaranteed to be in the SEC championship game. I just wonder about the revenge factor of Texas learning from the first game, revenge, do things a little differently. And I don't know that Georgia's the same team the last 4 or 5 games with the problems they've had protecting Beck, his interceptions. Obviously, you don't buy into that. You think this is the dogs. I'm just posing it as a counter argument.
We had seen it. We had already seen that because they had beaten Kentucky like 13-12. They had gotten just run out at Alabama and had a way to come back in that ball game, but they had not looked good going into the Texas game. And I mean, my gosh, you and I talked about it on this show, and I had taken Texas. As I think like a 5.
I had Georgia, by the way, that night.
Yes, you did. But in this spot, I mean, Texas again favored The line moving up again. A lot of people believing in Texas, but who has Texas really beaten that makes you think they can do it, right?
They get the A&M win last week, Kyle Field, dramatic. But again, they were already going to be in the playoff. That just punched the ticket for the title game and the chance at the automatic bid.
Right, but at the same time, let's not twist who Texas A&M is. This is a team that lost to Auburn. They got absolutely housed by South Carolina. Lost to Notre Dame early in the year, so all their losses look good. But that's a limited offense. You know, the Texas defense we know is good. I don't think that it's going to be a 30-15 game again, because Texas, with their turnovers in that first game, gave up short fields to Georgia. They were able to score, in very limited play. It's not like the offense was great because Georgia had their own turnovers and whatnot in that. But yeah, I think that Georgia's defense can show up enough here. I don't think they wanted to put anything on film last week. Just nothing.
And again, massive situation on Saturday afternoon. Probably going to have the biggest television audience of the weekend, that traditional slot that's always been on CBS. Get used to it. It's now on ABC. Standalone game. Here we go with Georgia, Texas, the rematch. Gary says that is underdog number one. Again, thank you for finding us, whether you're watching us on the Winning Cures Everything YouTube page and Gary's platform, winningcureseverything.com. I love being with him. I love letting him letting me cohabitate, hang out here on the platform. If you're on the pod feed, come see the video, see what we look at and see the rest of Gary's great content, favorites, totals, insight on all the angles with the spreads through winningcureseverything.com. Tremendous content. You've got an individual segment on every game that is out for championship weekend. I love that. So I encourage the podcast audience to come find that. Again, I almost feel like I'm on a diet. I'm not going to go with 3 underdogs, so I'm going to let you come back for a second helping and a second underdog before I get in. Give me another underdog on championship weekend that you like for 3 Dog Thursday, Gary.
Saturday evening, I'm going to go over to the Sun Belt, and I like Marshall plus the 5.5 here. And I was checking to see if that thing's been updated, but no, it is still 5.5. It's the same spot that it was. I don't believe that Louisiana is that much better than this Marshall team. And ESPN bet just moved it to 6. All right, so I will take Marshall plus the 6 here.
You're going to take that, right?
Yep, as soon as it just updated right on my screen as it happened. I know Charles Huff is looking at other jobs. I get all that. This Marshall team has won, 6 in a row, I believe. Defense is pretty good. Offense is pretty good. I know Louisiana has been absolutely rolling on offense. And while it looks like the offense has actually improved after the quarterback Wooldridge went down, they moved over to Chandler Fields, who's got a ton of experience. He's got starting experience there at Louisiana. But the teams that they have played since he took over were just complete mismatches. Like they were so overwhelmed in that game because Louisiana just out-talented all those guys. This thing opened at 3.5. It's up to 6 at this point. I'm going to buy back on that. I think even though the game is at Louisiana, I think this Marshall team is very focused. This is a very talented team. This Marshall team has more team talent overall than Louisiana does. So I'm going to take Marshall here. My last 4 weeks model has got Marshall favored. For the full season, I've actually got Louisiana favored by 5.5. But you start digging into this, and I think this Marshall offense is going to be able to run all over this Louisiana defense. Curious what the Louisiana offense is going to do against Marshall, because Marshall really good at defending the pass, not great at defending the run, but I think they can get enough done here that I think this is more like a field goal game than it is a 6-point spread.
And you did mention the one thing that might be the best equalizer for Louisiana, home game. Now, not all of these conference championship games are at a home site. Some of them are. Boise gets a home game. Army gets a home game in the American Conference title game. But you're saying it's just not enough of a factor for Louisiana, as they're known, the Ray-John Cajuns here. These teams did not play in the regular season. We got a couple of rematches in the championship games. These did not play, Marshall and Louisiana. And again, you say too many points. You'll grab it with Marshall.
You got it.
And again, this is Saturday night. It's going to get caught up in the ending of Georgia, and I'm saying this, and Texas, and then the startup of Penn State, Oregon, and Clemson against SMU. there will be some attention here, but neither one of these teams really has an argument to be in the college football playoff. But you know what? There's still an opportunity here for you just one more time. Yeah. And you're saying, give me the dog. Woof,
you got
woof.
it. You got it.
All right. I like it. All right. So he goes Marshall for underdog number 2. And that gives us a segue. You see the sponsor on the screen. If you are going, or if you know anyone trying to go to any of these championship games across the board, Friday night in Boise, it's going to be chilly. I get that. It's going to be chilly as well in West Point, right? For Army and Tulane on Friday
20
night.
degrees. All that wind coming off the Hudson.
Oh, several of these are inside climate control. Jerry's World for the Big 12 title game. Iowa State, Arizona State, inside in Atlanta, Georgia, and Texas. Inside in Indianapolis for Oregon, Penn State. How are we doing? Outside in Charlotte. It is going to be cold in Charlotte for Clemson and SMU. But if you're going to any of these games, use TicketSmarter, the TicketSmarter mobile app. Make sure that you utilize it for the best prices on the secondary market. Your purchase is safe and secure. It'll take you 2 minutes, Gary and audience, to sign up. Purchase is safe and secure. Great selection. You're not going to get into these games for anything under than a $300 ticket for the better seats. Use the promo code WCE20. Take $20 off for Winning Cures Everything. Take $20 off with the promo code WCE20. And again, this is good as many times as you want to use it, including for the college football playoff games that are coming up, including for the bowl games that are coming up if you're wanting to utilize it, NFL, concerts, all of it. TicketSmarter mobile app, $20 off a purchase of $300 or more with WCE20.
Hey, let me tell you a secret
friend.
On this.
Yes,
something
please.
If you're around Indianapolis or thinking about going to the Big Ten title game this weekend, you use that WCE10 and get $10 off an order of $100 or more. You could buy like a 5-pack of of tickets to the Big Ten championship game and save your $10 right there, because
how about that?
Like $20 to get into that thing.
All right. And again, that's hurt by the fact that Ohio State is not there. I wonder if they would have that kind of 5-pack if the Buckeyes were there. And Penn State travels well too. How many fans will Oregon have in their first year in the Big Ten? That remains to be seen. But again, TicketSmarter mobile app. Use it as much as you want. Use the promo code as much as you want. WCE20, we suggest, on an order of $300 or more. You see it on the screen if you're with us on the video. If you're hearing us on podcast, go to TicketSmarter. Think smarter, TicketSmarter, promo code WCE20. All right, I'm going to go next here along the buffet. My one and only dog. I took a look at Iowa State in the Big 12 title game, but I can't get past. Arizona State is the one loss I have the last 2 weeks. They throttled Arizona a week ago. Cam Scattaboo running the ball. I know you're going to tell me about the injured receiver for Arizona State, Jordan Tyson, being a factor, but I can't get around. Arizona State seems to be on a mission after the wins at Kansas State. The dramatic hold them off, crazy ending to the BYU game. They were great in the rivalry game with Arizona. I like Arizona State as the fave, so I can't go there. I will go all the way to Saturday night to Clemson. Off the loss to South Carolina, kind of a home away from home in Charlotte. It's going to be cold. SMU's been a great story with Rhett Lashley's team, especially offensively with the way that they've scored. But I think Clemson will be ready in the big moment. Dabo was almost taking a swat at the media this week saying, well, hey, we won 15 games, first time ever for a college football team in a season to win a national title. Why don't we become the first team to have 3 losses to get in to the college football playoff
and just win the whole thing?
I like that, and then maybe win the whole thing. I like the Tigers here. I think with Klubnik and company, they had problem with Sellers, the mobile quarterback, last week, but I think they get some things corrected. I will take Clemson outright here and grab the points, and that is my lone doggy on 3 Dog Thursday. Your thought on that?
I lean the other direction. And while all this debate has been about if Clemson beats SMU and SMU's worried about Alabama jumping them and the CFP data, I think SMU's going to win the game. If you look at who, you can say the same for both of these teams. Clemson, the best teams that they have played, they have lost to all of them. And, just looking at common opponents, SMU went to Louisville and beat them. And Louisville went to Clemson and beat them by multiple scores. That was decisively a blowout.
Yep, agreed.
The 3 best teams that Clemson has played, Georgia, South Carolina, and Louisville, they weren't really in the game for 2 of those. And the South Carolina game, Lenore Sellers just ran all over him. Kevin Jennings can do a lot of that same stuff. He doesn't do it often because they don't need it, but it's there if they need it. I mean, that guy ran for 130 some odd yards against Louisville when they actually needed him to do it. So my number has SMU by like a touchdown. I kind of trust it, but Clemson has the significant talent advantage here. I say significant. One is number 5 in team talent composite. The other is 25. So SMU's got some dudes, but yeah, this is the best team for both of these teams that they will have played in quite a while. So even for Clemson, I think SMU probably right up there with South Carolina. Close.
Interesting. Yeah. I got a couple of numbers for you. Obviously, SMU has had a good year against the number. They are 8-4 ATS this season. Clemson not as good, 5-7. How about SMU right now in one-score games is 9-1, 9-1 straight up and against the number since the beginning of last year. If this is a close game, it should favor Rhett Lashley's team for whatever that's worth. I just think cold weather, many more Clemson fans are going to be there regionally closer. I think they find a way to get this done outright, so I will take the points. I will take them as the underdog, and I like the back and forth. That's arguably going to be the final game of the night, depending on how long it takes to play the Big Ten title game at the same time with Oregon and Penn State. And I believe that's your final underdog. You're going for 3 on the buffet. And are you looking the way of the Nittany Lions, Gary Segars, on 3 Dog Thursday?
I am. Now, my number has Oregon by 4.5. My number based on the last 4 weeks actually has Penn State by like 12 points. It's just super high variance on. Well, you're looking at a very small sample size, right? So you're just getting an idea of how well these teams are playing heading into whatever game it is that we discussed.
And Penn State got to destroy Maryland in the final game of the year, which might have skewed some of that. So I understand that.
Most certainly. And if you really look back over the past 4 weeks, Penn State, they did have to deal with the Minnesota situation just a couple of weeks ago. Oregon had the Wisconsin game in there. So, two close games. You start looking at like comparable opponents, et cetera. Penn State lost to Ohio State by 1 score. Oregon beat them by 1 point and may have lost that game had there been a little bit of extra time left. I look at this and it's 2 teams that to me are just incredibly equal as far as talent, as far as how they have played all year. Line of scrimmage, I think they're pretty comparable. You're looking at number 8 in predicted points added margin in Penn State. Number 10 is Oregon. So it's not like Oregon has been the most consistent and whatever. Their strength of schedule is number 60, and Penn State's is number 36. So if you look at what Oregon has had to go through, it's not all that ridiculous, and it's not like they've been this dominant number 1 team. They're just the one that happened to finish undefeated. So
still, you got to give them credit. They won the close game with Ohio State. Oregon, they won that game at Michigan when they could have lost. I'm sorry, the game at Madison. At Wisconsin when they
did win at Michigan. I mean,
it's interesting here again. These teams didn't play each other. We got the Georgia Texas example. They did play each other. Boise State, UNLV, they did play each other. So some of these are rematches. This one they didn't play each other in the regular season. But what about James Franklin in the biggest game? You think? I mean, they've had problems before. What kind of crowd does Oregon bring to Indianapolis? I don't know that. Penn State's probably going to have maybe more than 50% of the crowd in the Lucas Oil Stadium. Let's see. Well, I do think this Big Ten title game means more for Penn State, right? I think a traditional Big Ten, and I say traditional, I mean, they joined in 90 or 30 years ago, right? 30 years ago. Right.
But the Big Ten championship, I think, means more to Penn State because that's something that they'll wear those rings around for years because I don't think they're going to have a ton of opportunities. They won't be here all that often. I don't think. But
still, counter argument, Oregon could win the Big Ten title in their first year in the conference. And the same thing applies. It's wild for Arizona State, for Texas, and for SMU. Just bizarre. But you like the Nittanies. You like the Nittanies. Drew Aller, Abdul Carter on the defense.
It's 3.5 right now. Looking at so it's still 3.5, and it has not moved. I feel like this is probably a field goal game either direction. So, I do think that Penn State is insanely talented. I do wonder if the issue with Penn State in some of the, because, I think James Franklin is 1-15 or 1-16 or whatever it is against top 5 opponents.
Correct.
All of those are against Ohio State and Michigan. I'd wonder, you saw what Ohio State did against Michigan last week. I wonder if it's just something about that team. Like you overthink yourself about that team.
Maybe.
Like, I think Penn State could probably hang in because Oregon, it's not this mental hurdle that it got to get through. It's just another team at this point.
All right, we'll see if that's the case. That's the Big Ten title game. CBS, by the way, has that game. While we've got everything convoluted and confused, CBS does have the Big Ten title game. It'll rotate between them and Fox and NBC in subsequent years. But this first year of the new TV deals, Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson will call Penn State and Oregon coming up Saturday night. By the way, we need to have one more opportunity to tell you about one more sponsor here before we get out of here on 3 Dog Thursday. Let's do that right now. And that is our friends at Go Sleeves. We've been telling you about them all football season. Again, if you are a weekend warrior, the knees, the elbows, they ache, the calf gets strained, use Go Sleeves and their kinesiology technology. Why? It increases blood flow, as you see on the TV screen. It helps with inflammation. It also supports your ability to recover. Again, if you are a runner, a pickleball player, if you are a golfer, a tennis player, weekend basketball, whatever it is, biking, as you see on the screen, you're even going to see somebody weightlifting. Dear God, use the Go Sleeves on the knees, the elbows, the calves. Again, it's go time with Go Sleeves, and they're a proud sponsor on 3 Dog Thursday. We also recommend the promo code WCE for a discount, Gary Segars. But if you got the aches, the tennis elbow, the golf elbow, the knees are hurting from the running, the pickleball, the tennis, the biking, use our friends at Go Sleeves, gosleeves.com, promo code WCE. And we've already seen some of you acting on that. Get some discounts going and get some of that product for the holidays, by the way, and Christmas coming up with our friends at Go Sleeves. Hey, I've got one more question for you, and then we've got to get out of here on 3 Dog Thursday, the podcast and the show. Do you subscribe, as I do, that the final at-large spot, when it's all said and done Sunday afternoon, is going to go Roll Tide's way, Bama, Bama? Or do you believe that committee might slide someone else in of the ilk like Ole Miss, South Carolina, or an SMU, let's say, if they don't win the ACC title game, something like that? What do you think, real quick?
I think it's down to SMU or Alabama, right? If SMU loses, then we get to have that discussion. If SMU wins, then I think it's just Alabama, because Ward Manuel did say that, hey, we are sticking with these. This is what the ranking is. We've already baked in all the other stuff, like Georgia potentially winning a championship or Clemson potentially winning a championship, and what that would mean for these resumes. But to us, it's not going to change the resumes. So,
because if I can just clarify again, for Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, whoever's in this group, Notre Dame, Ohio State, you're not playing this weekend. What he's essentially saying is there's not another data point. For the other teams that are playing, there is a data point. Continue on.
Right. So the teams that are not playing, the data points that we will get, Alabama's win over Georgia, it's not going to increase in value if they beat Texas. That's basically what he was saying. So it's either Alabama or SMU if SMU loses to Clemson. And what I want to make perfectly clear, because I have been going back and forth with all these guys on X and Twitter or whatever, it is not Alabama that would be stealing SMU's playoff bid if SMU were to lose the game this weekend. Clemson would be the one to steal SMU's playoff bid. Now, as far as determining the ranking between the two, SMU, I'm like I told you, I think SMU is going to win this ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
But if for whatever reason they don't, they would have not played other than until this weekend. They had not played the number 2 team, Clemson, in the ACC. They had not played the number 3 team in Miami. They had not played the number 4 team or the number 6 team. They played the number 5 team in the ACC and got a win over them. The next best team that they played was BYU, and they lost the game. Now, we can talk about.
Am I correct? SMU has 1 win over a team with a winning record. Am I correct?
No. I think they.
Maybe they have more than that. Maybe I misspoke.
Yeah, they got more than that. They got more than Louisville and Duke and
Maybe it's one team in the top 25. Maybe it's one team in the top 25 that they've beaten at this point. I'm not sure which, because part of the Alabama argument. Right. The Alabama argument is they have the Georgia win and they have another win or maybe two that are in the top 25, and strength of victory is helping them.
It's three in the top 25.
You believe that's what it's down to. Will they take SMU? Will they take Alabama? And stay tuned. But
if you want me to get conspiratorial for just a moment, saw a Twitter post just a little bit ago, and if you go through and actually pay attention to some of these TV rating numbers, because we all know that this is a TV show.
Absolutely.
SMU, on average, SMU is the least watched ACC team this year. They have averaged 682,000 viewers in their 6 appearances on network television. So,
I think I saw, so there were like 7.5 million people that watched the Iron Bowl for Alabama. They were in 3 other games this year that had at least 10 million people watching. They're a love-hate. It is a TV product. Nobody said it's fair. Nobody said this is absolutely what should be the fairest thing to do. They're going to put the brand names, if they have a chance, like Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, at large in the playoffs, so people will watch. You and I are in agreement on that.
Yeah,
stay tuned for Sunday. But
the biggest thing here, as far as fairness,
yes,
it is fair that SMU has a chance to play.
They have a chance. Coming right there. Play and get in. Iowa State and Arizona State, play and get in. Same thing for
Boise and UNLV.
Boise in particular. Play, win the game, and get in, because they're going to be the highest ranked group of 5 team. I'm with you on that. All right, so by means of recap for the audience here, you're going three underdogs: Georgia, SEC title game, Marshall, Sun Belt title game, and Penn State. I wish you well, my friend. May the force be with you against Dylan Gabriel and the Ducks in that game. I guess if Oregon's winning like 28-0 in the first half, I'm not to text you. That's not should. But then again, if Penn State's winning like 17-0 in the first half, I may hear from Segars. Stand by, rightfully so.
No, I will be watching the SMU game intently. So I'll have the Penn State game on side screen.
I believe that's Clemson, though, my one and only dog on 3 Dog Thursday. Again, with the stipulation, we're not forced to pick 3 underdogs this week with so many fewer games. The only one I like legitimately is Clemson to win the game outright with SMU and take the 3 or the 3.5, whatever they're getting. And let's see how it unfolds. All right. Anything else before we're ready for Championship Saturday? As you do such a magnificent job of previewing this on the platform, we went at it from the underdog angle. Anything else, Gary, on this Thursday live?
We got some fun bowl games already announced. I'm kind of excited about it, right? That Memphis and West Virginia are going to play in the Frisco
I got
Bowl.
plenty of West Virginia friends that are already hitting me up. Are we going to Frisco for Memphis and West Virginia? And in my part of the world, you want to go to
Frisco?
Well, in my part of the world, South Florida, USF, Mrs. Reeves' team, she's a bull. They're going to Hawaii.
Yeah,
that's a little different than Frisco or Shreveport or Birmingham or some of these other bowl sites. They're going to play. What did I see? Was it San Jose State out in Hawaii on Christmas Eve? So some of the bowl games are coming up. Again, you've got such great content.
Matchups.
You'll be previewing the bowl games on winningcureseverything.com, and we will be back with 3 Dog Thursday as everything unfolds here with the bowl games, with the college football playoff. I love doing this with you on the video show, on the Winning Cures platforms and YouTube page, and on the pod. Anything else, my friend, before championship weekend, Friday and Saturday?
No. Let's get some winners.
Let's go get it. Good luck with your underdogs. There's Gary Segars. Follow him at Gary WCE. If you're only hearing us, follow this show at 3 Dog Thursday online and on social media. I'm merely TJ Rives. Check out all of Gary's great content at winningcureseverything.com. For now, we're good with 3 Dog Thursday and the championship games this weekend. We'll know the college football playoff matchups and brackets soon enough. For now, we're good. Woof, woof.